Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana. Close your legs and open your book. Let's get to reading.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit content.
It's about to get nasty.
It's all vibes and no facts.
Let's get to spoiling.
Wait, no, these are spoiler-free episodes.
Not the way I do it.
We'll talk about the elephant in the room later.
All right. Let's hear about things that aren't elephants.
We watched the Bee Movie this week.
Yeah, that's a fucking awful movie. I thought it was like, oh, Jerry Seinfeld, it's going to be fun. No, that movie kind of just sucks all around. There's like 4 good jokes in it.
Well, there's a ton of puns, if that's your form of jokes.
Yeah, but they're like not all great puns.
One of my favorite deals about the movie is the guy's crash out. It's like this.
So justified. That dude 100% is underreacting to this situation. He's deathly allergic to bees. One's in the house. He's going to murder it. And she's like, no, save him. He's a special bee and he deserves life. And the guy's like, so do I. And she's like, what's to say that your life's better, more important than his? And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm to say that. Every one of his crash outs is so justified.
I was also shocked at how fast the plot moves, in that there really wasn't much of a plot other than don't kill bees.
Yeah.
Don't kill bees, but he goes from going out into the world, going on dates, like multiple dates in a row, and going to court. Whatever happened with the court thing?
Well, so John Goodman pisses him off and pisses off his buddy, who is, I think, also counsel on the case as well as plaintiff. It's very difficult to ascertain exactly what's happening because the lawyers consist of a florist and 2 bees. And as for, I believe the florist is actually the representing counsel as well as both of the bees, but they also seem to be the plaintiffs of a lawsuit. So
no, there's so much chaos. You can't even pinpoint which one to really hone in on, because I was also shocked that she reacts as you would expect a person to hearing a bee start talking. Then the next person hears the bee talk and it's less. And then the next person, nobody reacts after that. They show up in court and the bee talks and makes a joke about talking. Everyone just laughs. Nobody's in shock and they continue on with court.
Yeah, it's normalized immediately. And
completely.
I might also add, she does not react the way that you should react if you hear a bee talk. You should go see a doctor.
Well, she did go a little insane.
She was shocked, but for like a minute and a half, and then she's like, can I get you something?
Well, we had to move on. She's attracted to the bee.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole movie was just terrible.
But I didn't really know what I thought about her being attracted to this bee, because as we're going through the books that we're reading, you have the woman and the beast type of thing.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast. This was not it. And I was going into it like, oh my gosh, this is probably a Beauty and the Beast take. No, it's not.
It's a kid's version of the shit that we read.
It's not.
It's so garbage.
He's so helpless. Again, like he relies on her to live multiple times.
True. But I don't see how that's that different than what we've read. The first one we went through was Alcatraz.
I kind of thought he was giving some Tamlin vibes a little bit, but no.
He's his own character. I'm going to give him that. He's an original idea.
I think the other guy, the human who's allergic to bees, her fiance or whoever he is, that's more the Tamlin character, where he crashes out over her falling in love with the bee. It's just like, you're falling in love with the Night Court man? My enemy man?
No, his crash out is justified on so many levels. The boyfriend character is the smartest person in that entire movie. So the moral of the story is bees like to work until they die.
Except for one.
No.
Well, he
needed a different job.
Yeah.
Now he's a pollen collector. So he got his dream job and he's a part of the Flying Aces or whatever the fuck they're called. It was just an awful movie. I was so shocked because I could have sworn I'd seen this movie at some point. It became apparent to me immediately that I had just seen a trailer and had never seen that movie and did not miss anything.
I saw it with our kids when they were young, and it seemed really like a cheaply put together movie other than the voice actors that are in it. So that doesn't make sense at all.
Can you name one other than Jerry Seinfeld.
You just said his name. He was the lawyer guy.
John Goodman.
Yeah.
I think. I didn't even look that up, but it was a John Goodman character, if not John. But I'm pretty sure the boyfriend was Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, there's so many great voice actors in this, and it's also such a shit movie. That movie.
I like that it turned into like a meme, which is why we watched it. Our daughter was like, I gotta see the Bee Movie. I've heard all about it. It sounds really funny. And she was kind of teetering in that balance of it's so bad it's funny, but also it's really bad. And you seem to be, this is just bad. It's not funny.
Oh, okay. So what I will say is it is so bad that it's funny, but it's not so bad that it's so funny that it's worth watching. If you have not seen Bee Movie, you don't need to. Just watch the trailer. Everything you ever want to know about that movie, all the funniest bits are right there for you.
Give a recap.
Bee is 3 days old, which in Bee World is he's graduated college, where they're all conscripted to work for the company, which is the beehive. He's going to go pick a job. The only job he wants is the one that'll get him laid, which is pollen guy, where they spread pollen and collect nectar. He's not qualified for that because those are a different type of bee than what he is. But he decides he can do it anyway. He ends up in these people's house. We learn really quickly that this lady values bees greatly, which I'm on board for. I love bees. My family is also deathly allergic to bees. I can understand his crash out a little bit at this. What I would say is she does become nearly immediately attracted to him. He decides to speak to her because, again, he's 3 days, well, at this point, I guess he's 4 days old. So I don't know where that puts him in Bee World, but he's getting up there in age. He somehow decides that, hey, there's honey in grocery stores. That's not something that should be a thing. That's our honey. They're stealing it from us. The ramifications for this being every single product created by an animal should not be there, which pretty quickly would turn into a deal where we're at war with all of the animals. I mean, we go to war over oil. Imagine what we're going to do over milk and cheese and eggs. Like, the world is going to go to shit in a handbasket pretty quick. It turns out that she's a florist, which also really doesn't serve a purpose. She happens to also be good at lawyering. He goes and tries to discuss with the bees at the hive, like, hey, I've learned so much, and I went and investigated this place. Mosquitoes are the bottom of the food chain as far as sexy bugs. We learned that from Chris Rock, who's a mosquito.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what else there really is for plot. They win the lawsuit. The bees get lazy. All the flowers die. The bees start to die. Everybody's dying, and their life is without purpose.
Producing honey
because
if they won the lawsuit.
They won the lawsuit, and they got all their honey back that was off the shelves.
Oh,
now
so
we
they
have this
don't have to
abundance
work.
of honey. Yeah, they don't need it anymore.
And then everything started to die.
Yeah.
Everything went to
But
shit.
don't
She
worry.
lost her floral shop.
Well, yeah, because all the flowers are done now because the only things pollinating were bees, evidently, and not for the love of the game, but because it was their job. Then they break into the Rose Parade. They steal a float with flowers because for some reason California is the last place to have flowers. Get to the airport, sneak this damn thing on a plane.
The float on the plane?
Correct. There's a float on a plane.
With flowers.
Yeah.
From California to take it back to New York?
Yep. You're following along. This is the logic. Then they're on their way back.
I fell asleep part of this movie. I
Don't
should
worry.
have said that.
You didn't actually miss anything. Because something happens with the pilots. Oh, the bee goes up to discuss something with the pilots. The pilots are shocked. They didn't know bees could talk. They have not been watching the news, evidently, and seeing how these lawsuits are playing out. Pilots end up somehow beating each other unconscious or something, trying to swat at a bee. Pilots are down. Bee takes over. He's going to fly the plane. He can't fly the plane. Bring the florist in. Florist is just going to match what the bee's doing with her hands and the yoke to somehow fly this plane. Turns out the plane was on autopilot the whole time. Gets struck by lightning. Autopilot shut off. Not to worry. They've got a plan. The bees all decide to gang together and support this plane. They cover the bottom of the plane.
No,
and then,
that's
don't
so
worry,
stupid.
there are remaining bees. How do they know where to put this thing when it gets to the ground? A bunch of bees make a black and yellow target on the tarmac, and they lower the plane down to that point. Boom, all the flowers drop from the bottom of the plane. Nobody died. Wonderful. They immediately start gathering the pollen from those flowers And then they're off flying, sprinkling it everywhere like
all
Tinkerbell's fairy dust, and everything comes back to life. Don't worry, the bee learned that his life was not meant to be in the hive. He's now an attorney for animals.
Oh.
So in the back room of a florist shop, there's a cow there who wants to have an opinion. She needs to get an opinion from the bee on how likely her case for milk and these dairy farmers is going to go for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at some point he decides he's taking a lunch.
I fell asleep.
No, this is the thing. All of this happens in like 10 minutes. His buddy goes back to being like a nose picker thing in the hive. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I remember that.
They got like the finger helmets. And I don't know what it's doing because I don't understand bees enough. What I will say is the way the movie ends is he is living with the florist lady operating out of her shop. She's doing a big florist job. Something came in where they're like, we need 1 million flowers. And she's like, I guess I could do it. I know a guy. And she goes and she's like, Barry B. Beeson or whatever the fuck his name is. She's like, I need a kajillion lilacs or something by Tuesday. Can you help? And he's like, we've got fairy dust for plants. Don't worry. And then he suits up and he puts on his cool, pilot suit thing that he wears as a nectar pollinator fella.
Is he a ripped bee?
No, he maintains the same. He's not that breed of bee. He's just a regular Rudy bee who wears a costume that fits. Also, they had a leather jacket made for him for his smaller size. Oh, it's a terrible movie.
I thought I fell asleep at the last 20 minutes.
You did.
Oh.
That was all 20 minutes, baby. It is crazy. Oh, also, John Goodman, the lawyer, goats his buddy into stinging him in the ass. And he plays it up and he's like, see, the bees are beasts. They can't be trusted. Which I understand. They're like, that's not the point. But it kind of also is the point. Like, no, you're right. They're animals, basically. It did not manage itself well. He irritated it and it went from the stand. It went and stabbed him in the butt. His buddy almost dies. He replaces his stinger with a sandwich sword. You know what I'm talking about? Little swords they stick in club sandwiches.
I remember thinking that the whole lawyer scene kind of flopped. I thought they could have came up with a better argument. Even the bees didn't have a great argument. They're like, we worked really hard on this.
Yeah, nobody presented a decent argument.
And the other argument was, you guys sting people, and therefore you deserve to have your honey taken.
Yeah, so the way that they got him was literally using the smoke gun. At some point, it's brought into court, and John Goodman's flailing around, and he accidentally smokes half the bees in the place. And he's like, see, they didn't consent. This is a non-smoking section. It was that lame of a joke.
I will give this movie this. When they used the smoker on the bees, they treated it like cigarettes, right? And how they reacted.
Versus sleeping,
but also versus a trippy experience. You know how like kids' movies now, it seems like they all have this weird little acid trip moment that goes on in them. Like The Croods, Madagascar. Those are the only two that I can think of.
Alice in Wonderland.
That one makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah, it sounds
The Aristocats.
That's the 90s.
Yeah, I'm pointing out that it's all the kids' movies ever.
Yeah, a lot
They've
of kids'
always
movies.
done this.
It's like an acid trip, and I would have expected this to have done something similar.
The Jungle Book.
Yeah. I don't understand the purpose of those scenes at all, and it's always weird and confusing, and as a child, those things gave me nightmares.
Well, see, those of us that were ADD, that was the part of the movie that brought us back into the movie. We're like, oh shit, things are moving. Colors are happening on the screen. Things are flashing.
Well, do you remember like when we were kids, they would say that they were like hypnotizing us or subliminal messages in those types of scenes?
Yeah, listen to Mowgli backwards. He's going to convince you need free health care. Oh, get him off the screen. Looking forward to Bear Necessity. I fucking love that movie. That was a good movie. We should watch that instead of B-movie next time.
Yeah.
B-movie is an awful movie.
It's terrible.
What do you rate that movie out of 10?
Oh, a 2.
Okay. All right. Then we're on the same page.
I fell asleep.
Yeah. Okay. 2 out of 10. I'll take that.
A 2. I was kind of expecting a bit more of a Shrek meme style. When we first watched Shrek, we loved it. We were also like, what, 12?
Oh,
when
I think it came out in 2000 or 2001.
Yeah, don't age us. Shut up. Get out of here.
Pointing out we were younger than 12.
We were young. So young.
Mere babes. Barely born.
And we absolutely loved it. It was such a big hit. It was funny. And then it became cringy type of deal. And now it's gone all the way through its cycle. And now it's funny and cringy.
Oh,
And
no. See, the original Shrek is a good movie.
Okay.
It is. It's a great movie. It's got plot that moves forward.
Plot.
It's got characters that are mostly developed. Shrek is a great movie. It may not be everybody's taste, but it does all the things a movie needs to do well.
I would say that it does great and that I could watch it today, which we did, I think, last summer, and still enjoy it like I did when it first came.
This is what I'm saying. It's an excellent movie. The jokes, they stand. They're good.
Well,
They're mostly evergreen, right? The soundtrack, amazing.
but you're talking about Shrek 1. Then there's 2, 3, probably 4 TV shows and miniseries.
Yeah, and
And a
there's
new
Puss in
one?
Boots, but I would add the latest Puss in Boots movie was awesome.
That one also had an acid trip scene in there.
Yeah, no, they all get it at some point. But I'm saying it was a good movie. Puss in Boots I was entertained by
Do you
the entire
remember?
time.
Do you remember the Puss in Boots sound, the little eerie, creepy sound of death following him? Give her son like
Yes.
nightmares.
Yes. And her daughter hiding in the bathroom, waiting until he went in there to brush his teeth and she played it behind the door just to freak him out. Yeah, that was so funny.
Because we thought the reason that we're laughing is because when she did this, we're upstairs and we hear a blood curdling scream. And you just hear the Puss in Boots sound in the background. And with tears, and our daughter freaked out because she knew she was in trouble. She was like, oh, this actually wasn't funny.
This went too far. And this is where I do feel guilty. Because in the moment, I was at a 50 on the
Because
1 to 10 scale of emotion. I thought he was hurt so
Yes.
bad.
Yeah.
And I was so ready to chew her ass. I was like, what did you do to him? She's like, nothing. And I'm like, not nothing. Like, I heard
Clearly.
that. I thought she must have broken his leg. I asked our son, what did she do? And he's like, she played that sound. And then I had to try not to laugh, but also, like, still try to scold our daughter and be like, you knew what was going to happen.
But
You
like
can handle it. But
nobody
also,
could have, no one
nobody
could
could
have
have
known
predicted
that.
exactly what was going to happen. And the worst part is, it will go down in history of our household as probably one of the best pranks ever.
Well, we got off topic.
Yeah, we did. B-movie sucks. Shrek is awesome.
Oh, yep, there we go. That's our review. As you all may have noticed, we went from chapters 36 to the very end. Do you have any thoughts, Ryan?
I think that Adri skipped from chapter 51 or something,
57, I think.
57 to chapter 95.
Yeah.
You cheating son of a
I
bitch.
feel really guilty because I like this series. We went hiking for our anniversary. We hiked for 5.5 hours. I was absolutely dead. So we listened for 5.5 hours of this book, got to chapter 57, 58, and I was getting a sense of dread of how much more there was in the book and just feeling like it was so slow and I just wanted movement in the plot. So I told Ryan that I was going to just skip ahead. And he's like, well, I'm going to keep listening. I'm like, well, you do that. And the next day I jumped to chapter 95. And me personally, I'm really glad that I did. I jumped in at a great spot. It was in the middle of Diana's fight with Isaiah and Xaden. And I think it was a great spot because after that point, it's just tying up loose ends on everything.
Yeah, I think you could have summarized all of the chapters I went through without you in 4 paragraphs of plot.
And they reference a lot of the stuff. So I found out that they got married. I found out what happened between Vincent and Camilla, their whole plan, because it's referenced again as it was almost as if I was expected to jump ahead because it recapped everything so well.
Yeah, pro tip, if you're going to read this book, fucking don't. Just read the first 10 chapters, maybe chapter like 25 through 35.
I think
And then skip all the way ahead.
first 30, last 20. Even though I did the last 10, I think that could
I
have
don't
been
think
a
you need
nice
the first
balance.
30 chapters.
Oh, I like the first 30. I
think
like the first 30 so much. I felt like it was the best in the series.
The first 15 chapters, fine. But there are so many, like, I know I'm always the prude in this. The sex scenes, holy fuck, man. There's so many in this. Every time you turn around, they're fucking, and it's brought up by the characters. When they're not doing it, the characters around them are referencing them doing it. There's like realism to that, I guess, where everybody around you would be fucking annoyed.
Technically, that was part of the plot in that they had their Amada bond taken, and that was part of the coping. That's what Reggie said at one point.
Yeah, but it didn't need to be there all the time. It's not like that had to be written that way. It was written that way to justify the scenes. The scenes weren't there to justify Reggie saying that.
True. I also felt like the scenes were difficult for me in this book compared to the last book. The last couple books. I've liked them. And in this book, Diana kept lying, and her way of getting out of talking to Sam Kyle was sex. Blowing him, fucking him, doing these things to avoid conversations. And I'm not going into the scene feeling any passion with them because it was used as a tool.
Well, what I would say is you're not getting the passion with them because there is not passion.
Or at least not as far as I got.
No, I truly don't believe that there's passion in what they're doing. It feels utilitarian and it feels lustful, but not passionate. You don't feel love.
It was more lustful.
It's always competitive and fucking, I don't know. It was weird. I didn't enjoy any of the sex scenes in this book. I felt like all of the passion there was more passion between Reggie and Death when they were talking.
I knew you were going to love that scene.
Fuck.
I knew you would love it as soon as I heard it, and I was so glad that I skipped forward. And I have a very different experience with the book than you also because I skipped so much. I got a lot of the beginning of the book with a lot of plot movement. I got a lot of the relationship stuff and the tension going on between people. And then I skipped to the end where everything comes together and plays out. So my experience with the book was really great, actually. And I'm really glad that I skipped forward. The only thing that I probably would do different is start at maybe chapter 90. I don't know what happens in chapter 90, but just where I jumped in at, I should have started a little sooner. But overall, I loved the book, but then I find me skipping it means that maybe I didn't as much, or I don't know.
I think this whole book could have been 30 chapters long.
No, I think 60.
No, you didn't even read 60 chapters of this book.
Yeah, I did, technically.
No, you started at 95 and there's 108 chapters in this book. You did you actually did do the first 50-something.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that there needed to be more than 30 chapters with the plot.
No, and I think that's where what is a low star for us, the reason, is probably a 5-star for somebody else. When you want to be in this world for as long as possible. Like the idea of if you're really enjoying Fourth Wing, where you may feel it was too short, it moved too fast. I wish it would just slow down and let me enjoy this world for a little bit before I have to leave.
But you never got to experience the world. Describe the world they were in.
Well, not the world, but I meant it as to stay in this book, to stay with these people a little longer. And this book gives you that. This book
gives you perspective from everybody, but it leaves the monotony of everybody in every chapter. Like at a certain point, I'm like, I don't want to hear about more of Camilla's nonsense. And I really thought I was going to love the Camilla chapters, and I started off really enjoying it. But then slowly Camilla turned into Diana with an accent, and Vincent turned into Sam Kyle with an accent. Everybody just turned into a slightly modified version of the other characters. If you listen to all of Camilla's chapters, several of them are just her working on magical things, longing for Vincent, and feeling rebuffed but never having the conversation. That's what it turns into. Really, you skipped all of the shittiest parts of this book. Nothing of value came into this book.
But I even told you that when I finally decided, and I was getting this sense of, I don't want to go into the next chapter. I don't want to continue because it feels so slow. And I asked you, I'm like, do you really think I'm going to miss that much of the book?
Here's the thing I have with this, and I'm only going to bitch about this book for a little bit, then I'm going to sing its praises. But I want to get this out. You skipped 40 chapters.
I did.
In the 40 chapters you skipped, did not progress the plot. There were 2 paragraphs worth of plot progression in 40 chapters.
Because, yeah, I jumped in when they caught up to Diana, essentially, and I knew that Xaden and Isaiah were eventually going to catch up to her and fight her and have their battle.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. You missed nothing. Literally, you missed nothing. You get a little bit of Xaden in there.
I missed their wedding, though. How was that?
Small,
You
because
were
everybody's
invited.
dead and gone. And there's several complaints about it. Not even complaints. It's, well, when everybody's around, I want a real ceremony. Sam Kyle disappears when Diana tells him the secret. First of all, maybe let's start from where we're at. Hold on, let's start from where we left off, roughly.
Okay, from the last book, we ended on chapters, and I'm going to, of course, do...
I think chapter 38 is where you left off, or 35.
I'll do larger recaps, because we're going through so many chapters.
Yeah, that's great. I'm on board.
We ended on the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Sam Kyle is jealous and possessive, and they were going to go work with Savvy or somebody like that, Sav. And a fight broke out between the prisoners, and it was just before they started digging the tunnels.
Yeah, before they decided to Shawshank their way through this.
Yep, and that we learned, which we didn't say in the last episode because I didn't have my notes written correctly, but they find out Logan is the weapon at that prison and how to save him.
Well, and they did not figure out how to save him.
But they eventually do, right? Yeah, they do. They destroyed the entire prison and everybody escaped.
Yeah, I think they transported the prison.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
I never learned what happened to Imogen, though. I don't know where she's at. I don't think she's with the team. And I heard that it ended with Diana and Sam Kyle going off to go find their friends.
Yes.
So I don't know where Imogen is at.
Well, okay, so within these chapters, or are you talking about by the end of the book?
So in this next bit that we started off was Imogen's POV, and she's feeling safe and not alone because of Isaiah. Isaiah has taken her on his little crew, and he has her sleeping in his bed, and he sleeps on the floor. So it's giving you that whole...
Chivalry is not dead.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Weirdly, Isaiah is an endearing character throughout this entire book.
And I was really looking forward to learning more about those two.
Yeah, it's really a shame that absolutely never comes up in the extra 40 bonus chapters.
No, I think that's going to be a next book thing because he captured Isaiah and he's still alive.
Well, and how is Isaiah still alive?
Because Sam Kyle didn't kill him.
How's Xaden still alive?
I don't understand that one. I think that's intended to be a cliffhanger.
Oh, I think we kind of know.
Oh, how?
Well, we'll get into that one as we go toward the end. Sorry, I baited you into that, and then I'm like,
yeah,
no,
you're asking
not
me
right
questions.
now.
I'm not allowed
that's
to
my
answer.
fault. No, my bad.
They have a map that they stole, and they're going to start digging. I found the digging really funny, that they are literally digging tunnels in these like little mines, just like the three of them, and they're getting a lot done. I don't know fully what the whole plan was because by the time that I quit reading, I'm discussing the map was taken in chapter 38. By the time that I got to chapter 58, they've dug a tunnel, they banged in this tunnel, they have a fight outside of this, and I don't know what happened afterwards. That's how much movement is going on between chapter 38 to 58.
Here is where I'm going to let you in on a small secret. I also don't know what the fuck happened with these tunnels. Because the book moves so damn slowly that by the time it was readdressed, I just did not care.
I think it had something to do with getting all the prisoners out and trying to get Logan.
They could have opened the fucking doors to the prison.
I don't know.
They murdered all the guards. Everybody that was employed by Nismira is gone.
Because Diana's been eating them also this entire time.
Yeah, and she takes Logan out. How he survives, we also don't know.
Logan or Vincent?
I'm sorry, Vincent.
Vincent, yeah, that was another thing that I ended up missing out on, but I do know that Vincent lived, whatever the reason may be. Oh, no, we did learn how he lived. Camilla grabs Xaden, wraps him up with her magic, pulls him with her to Vincent, and does some spell to pull their life force, a little bit from Xaden, a little bit from her, and puts it into Vincent. As far as how did Vincent
But that was to heal him,
Yes.
not to maintain him living. His eyes sputtered and he didn't die.
Yeah, whatever. For some reason, a god-level weapon stabbed him in the heart, and he did not die.
Yeah. So
And you never learned what the answer was to that?
No, I did not.
I'm wondering if it has to do with the bond between him and Nizmira.
I believe that's what it is as well. My guess is that it has something to do with whatever tethers him to her, joins their life force, blah, blah, blah.
And also when Camilla did that spell with her and Caden's life force to heal Vincent, there was some creature, like she like blacks out and has like a blackout dream. I don't know how to describe it. And sees a creature that was really impressed with her, or was like about time or something to that effect of ominous.
Wait, what? What are you saying?
Whatever spell Camilla did was big bad spell and something she shouldn't have been touching, and got the attention of some otherworldly creature.
Right. Yeah, which I think was actually the person who they keep accusing her of being a descendant of.
That's a great point, because we know that the dead frequently are interacting with these characters in ways.
All of a sudden, I might add.
Yeah, they haven't really...
These people are thousands of years old and they're all fucking surprised when it happens.
Fair.
Like, what is happening?
They're becoming part of the main plot of whatever their world is. Oh gosh, this is one of my notes. It's in this little batch here in 37 to 39. Sam Kyle, he thinks if he sees Logan, it will break the spell. I thought that was funny. He's like, but I just got to see him. I'm like, Logan.
True love.
I mean, Sam Kyle, you're being dumb. Diana blows him to make him feel better about his friends. I'm like, maybe I'm not doing a great job of making you feel better in hard times.
I'll take more blowjobs. I like that you went with hard times.
Hard times.
Hard.
It's like, I'm really sorry about your friend being possessed and maybe never coming back, and we may need to kill him one day if he ends up going after you, because I'm going to do it, but I'll blow you.
It is the magic solution to everything. Sexy time. And you know what happens every time somebody looks at him? Territorial possessiveness. It is so annoying to constantly hear these, and they both do it. Like, oh, she's too close to you, blah, blah, blah. Oh, she's an old friend, is she?
I think
The person who marries them. This gets into a whole other thing.
There was a thing over there.
But it's just Diana acting like Sam Kyle because this girl's so excited to see him. She's some sort of wind wisp or something. Like a wind fairy. An elemental.
I think the way things are written for when girls meet Sam Kyle, they do want him. But when men meet Diana, they aren't flirting with her. They just are existing near her. When
Here's
Sam Kyle gets jealous.
It doesn't even matter. The two of you cannot be this jealous constantly with each other and then solve all of your problems by fucking. It is so awful to just be a person viewing this relationship. Like, it is... This book... I like this book more when I'm not reading it. And if I was only judging it based off the last 20 chapters.
It just went too slow for me. Otherwise, I loved it.
See, and it went slow, but then it also didn't, like, develop anything. The plot didn't really move forward. Like, take this from the beginning to the end of this book. Sam Kyle is surviving by being healed by this group of healers. We start this book off. Those healers aren't doing a good job. By the last 20 chapters of this book, Sam Kyle finally gets his power back.
Yes. In the last 10. I gotta witness that scene.
Yeah, the last 10 chapters, Sam Kyle becomes capable again. Diana, nothing has changed with Diana. Other than we start the book off with, I don't have blood dreams. We end the book with, I'm not having blood dreams. Nothing has happened. We've introduced piles of characters, some of which have died.
I think it also shows how much Sam Kyle is willing to put up with Diana, because
he gets a blowjob every time something goes wrong.
She's constantly lying, and he has to figure it out. In this next batch of chapters, 40 to 42, he calls her out because he figures out she's feeding. Why was she lying? Oh my God, that's right. And when he calls her out, he offers himself. He's like, I don't want you to be killing all these guards. Why? I don't know, because I thought that was fine.
No, it's because he wants...
Morally good.
No, it's because he's possessive of her It wants her to only desire him.
Oh my God, you're right. Because then in the next scene, he offers himself. It's orgasmic. His blood is so damn good. They end up banging, probably, according to them, I'm assuming their best fuck yet, of her feeding on him while they're...
And now she's like, he accepts every part of me. He loves all of me. Oh, I'm finally able to let him have 100% of me, other than that 2% that's still lying about him being dead, and the other part that I don't want to tell him, and another thing that I don't want to tell him. The fuck? She goes all the way through the book and never mentions the eyes to him. Not once.
She doesn't.
Not
Did
one
that
time.
end up being his dad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned that in the very last chapter of his book, but it is never brought up to Sam Kyle.
It's for the next book.
He gets to know one fucking secret detail every book. She is worse than Xaden Riorson.
She does lie a lot.
Oh my God. Xaden at least just omitted shit. Sorry if you guys haven't read that book yet. If you haven't read that book, fucking read those books. They're good. They're amazing. By comparison. Fucking read Akatar. Skip Akatar. Go straight to Akamath.
But yeah, she's lying quite a bit. They have their sexiest of sexy scenes. It wasn't my thing. I don't think it was a bad scene. I think when I was hearing it, again, there wasn't passion because she's still lying to him and she's only gave him as much as he figured out, which I was upset with her. But again, a book that can make me feel that way, I still think it's a good book.
I don't think so.
But it was a little bit parasitic of Sam Kyle to feel like, I don't know. It was just an odd relationship with the feeding off of him and banging.
It's a symbiotic relationship between the two.
And I thought each scene moving forward was going to be like that. And I heard one scene in the last few chapters and it wasn't.
I don't remember. I think there was probably more, but I really got to the point where when the sex scene would start to happen, I would just skip ahead because I got so shitful of hearing it.
Then we have Camilla. She learns that Nismira is trying to bond the Ring of Oblivion to a spear that killed Sam Kyle. So she's trying to make weapons.
An ultimate god killer weapon, not for Sam Kyle, for the really big bad.
Really big bad is the really big bad the eye, because when the eye got introduced, it reminded me a lot of when it's not quite when the Avengers show up, but it gave off that type of, we're actually the good guys, but it was a little more godly. We have better things to do than dealing with you, but we did show up because this is important, but only this little sliver of importance right here.
The leaders of the eye are old gods.
Okay.
Right? Is what I got from this. Because you were there when they showed up.
Yep.
So I think the Eye is like the group of rebels. They're all just called the Eye. And then the ones that showed up are like the A-team for the Eye. And they're like, oh, Sam Kyle, oh, hey, brother. Like, I don't fucking know, man. It was just weird.
It gave me Avenger vibes a little bit of showing up to another planet and saving the day. And then they head back to their planet, wherever that may be.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And we learn about Vincent. He's bonded to Nismira. He actually loved her, and that's how he was tricked into whatever this spell was. And she calls him her pet, and she does not value him in any way, but he actually did at one point, and it's really sad. And he walked in on Xaden and Camilla.
Cue hurt feelings. And we still don't fucking talk about it. Why? Because it's the exact same trope repeated for a third time.
Camilla admits there's nothing going on between her and Xaden. They nearly bang, but they don't. We get Xaden's POV. He has a memory of Unir. I don't like how I said that.
Get a memory of Unir.
He gets a memory of Unir locking away him and Isaiah after Sam Kyle's birth, and Nismira saved him. That gives us a really great idea of why are they so loyal to each other.
Why did Unir put them in prison?
Because Sam Kyle is amazing.
No, I think he put them in prison because they were out stirring up some shit, and they were like, hey, we're Billy Badass, we do what we want. But they were kind of acting unilaterally. And he's like, nope, you guys are going to cause a problem. You're obviously evil. I'm going to lock you guys up. Then Nismira comes in and is like, fuck that, I'll bust you guys out of jail.
And they think it's because they're siblings, as I think Nismira is
using them.
Using them, of course.
Well, I think Xaden is aware of that. Xaden brings this up, that he's like, I'm not so delusional as to believe that it's altruistic.
But his brother does believe it, and he's very protective of his brother.
Okay, so this is where, again, Isaiah is the best character in this book.
Easily.
By far.
Him, Logan, and Nebra now.
Yep. And I'm going to probably be willing to give it to Imogen. Imogen gives me vibes of, who was the Akatar?
Yes, the sister.
No.
Not the sister.
Reese's cousin.
Yeah.
Wow, I cannot believe I actually forgot her name. I never
remember.
thought the day would come.
I just remember thinking that she reminds me of a casino girl in red dress.
Yeah. Yeah, just sexy, blonde, big curls.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what Imogen makes me think of her personality in the way that Imogen so far is written. So Imogen may even make the cut too. But Isaiah brings up why he's loyal to his siblings so much.
Why?
Xaden always protected him, always had his back. And then Nismira is the one who released them from prison and gave them more or less a sense of family. And that's all he's really wanted, was somebody to treat him like he had some value. And he protects them with everything. And he is so fucking powerful. It pissed me off how Sam Kyle, other than
the blood scene, it was so amazing. I love that you have a character that you say can control blood, and then you actually show us how he can control blood.
He can just snap his fucking fingers and everybody's dead.
Yes. I'm like, that's exactly what would happen. And I love that scene, especially how he controlled Diana, but almost in a way of, I could kill you. I don't want to. I just want you to,
You're love my
brother. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you're important to my brother, so let's see if we can make this work. Again, thinking with his heart. He's the only motherfucker in this book not thinking with his cock or clit. He's the only one. This dude is amazing. And the way Sam Kyle came in and cleaned up house, insanely badass. I loved that.
Completely agree.
For everybody that really enjoyed this book, I apologize to you. I liked parts of this book, but I also feel like I was tricked into reading this book by making it necessary because the other two were good. The last book was my favorite book we had read so far.
I think anyone who loves this book is still able to acknowledge that it was slower.
And if you love this book, you have bad taste in books.
No.
You should acknowledge that.
No,
if
that
you
is
love
not
this
true.
book, it's you're a bad person.
Shut
and you should
up.
feel bad.
He's just being mean to be funny. I swear he doesn't feel that way.
He jokes. No, this is an awful book and you should feel bad for liking it.
Whatever. So after Xaden's memory, the next chapter is Cameron's POV, and I was really starting to get drained a little bit because it's a chapter of Cameron just having a memory of the tryouts from the hand, for the hand.
Yeah.
That's all that was for. And I'm like, okay.
Meaningless backstory.
And at this point, I am hiking and dying. And I'm like, get me some story, get me some movement. That could also be a reason why I wanted to skip, because I was dying during these chapters too.
No, you made the right decision.
We get Vince's POV. He's headed to the prison. He runs into Diana. Diana gets the weapon that Nismira made, and she stabs Vincent. It's a godly weapon, and it actually truly injured Diana and nearly killed her. And that's why it's so shocking that Vincent survived after she stabbed him in the heart.
I don't think he has his heart. That's my theory. Nismira physically has his heart, is mine.
Ooh, I didn't think of that. Goes to Camilla's POV. She sends Vincent, and we already kind of talked about this, where she then finds him and then she heals him with this spell and whatnot, and took over Xaden for as long as she could in order to do it. Diana's POV, she wakes up and she's healed because of Sam Kyle. And again, she lied about her plan to go fight Vincent. This is just one of those little moments that I was really irritated with Diana, that she's lying so much. Not only is she holding on to these old lies, she's creating new ones as the story is going on. Because Sam Kyle was asking her, promise me you will never lie to me again. And she says, I promise I will never lie to you about my plans again.
Yeah, creating nothing but loopholes. And Sam Kyle, being the 2,000-year-old dumbass he is like, sounds good to me, honey. Moves on.
And it moves on, Reggie's POV, and he's talking to the elf about Diana and Sam Kyle, and he thinks that Diana is stronger than Sam Kyle. I love this. Reggie has always been Team Diana this entire time. Even through all these lies, he is very fatherly, really taking on this, yeah, she's fucking up, but she's my child.
He walks her down the aisle, to be fair.
That's so cute. See,
Yes.
that's where I missed that.
No, you know what? That made all 40 chapters of the nonsense that I went through worth it. She's like, I always thought Gabby would walk me down, but you and I have a fatherly-daughterly relationship. Would you mind? And he's like, it would be my honor.
And as Reggie's talking to the elf, and then he's talking to this other
Do we even know
creature.
the elf's name?
I don't know. Oh, was I right that the elf and Isaiah's ex-girlfriend elf are the twins?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's his sister.
I was picking up on that near the end. But anyways, so they're talking about how much they're banging. And we are already talked about how excessive it was. And this is the moment when Reggie says it's because they lost their Amada bond. And this is almost like a coping thing. And they banged so hard upstairs in a tub that it fell through the ceiling in this scene.
We're going to touch on Ryan's corner of logistics real quick.
Yeah, you were so bothered by the logistics of this happening because now we're descending this long hike by the time I'm at this point, and I got tunnel vision, and you're like, boy, do I got to talk to you about tubs and how they're built.
Well, not so much tubs and how they're built as, can you imagine building a floor so not sturdy that the tub could fall through the floor and destroy the floor joists before the tub broke?
I heard this scene and I'm thinking, okay, there's loud banging upstairs, knocking sounds. No, this must be violent hammering on the floor above them.
Not the floor, baby. That's the best part. It's the tub. What's happening to the water? It's dripping down, right? So the water is exiting the tub.
And it landed on somebody's leg to the water at some point. I'm like it would just start dripping through the ceiling.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what kind of an inconsiderate asshat would do this sort of thing? First of all, if
Diana,
it were possible.
100%
and
Diana.
Sam Kyle, where he's like, I'm a hero, but not when it comes to that pussy. Yeah, you like that? I almost said it. I almost made it in there.
You did. I didn't even catch it. It was so smooth and fluid.
Yeah, thanks. I've been working on it.
Privately?
No, the joke was I've been working on that poos.
Oh.
Damn it, I couldn't do it a second time. But
Damn it. I'm dumb.
No, you're good. It was a good joke.
Anyways.
Anyway, so you're plowing straight down, I might also add. Otherwise, the tub would be scooching across the floor.
Exactly, you're
which
right.
would happen much sooner. No, this is a direct top to bottom jackhammering situation. What is Diana made of that her body is accepting with this kind of
force?
Yes. I mean, because we've determined the mass of it to be like a fire extinguisher.
Oh my God.
The acceleration of it being what?
He brought this up again. There's a Mountain Dew.
A 1 liter bottle of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, this is about right. I'm like, oh my God, no.
That was my compromise from the fire extinguisher, but it doesn't matter.
Whatever.
I am just pointing out that's how it works. Anyway, Diana, taking it like a champ, evidently. Sam Kyle trying to beat the soul back into this woman.
Just laughing at the idea of that being in his pants. No, it's not.
When it's hard, it's that size. He's a grower, not a shower.
From like a regular Mountain Dew to the liter size?
Actually, I don't think that's quite. I mean, yeah. I don't think that's actually outrageous.
You can't hide either of those in your pants.
You could.
No.
Well, he's not hiding it in his pants, remember? That's the whole point. Every time he goes somewhere, she's like, slurp me up a bit of that.
That's like medical condition size.
He's 7 feet tall.
What? He is?
Yes, he's super tall, remember? He's taller than the other Celestials. The Celestials are all much taller than regular people. Diana's over 6 feet tall. Everybody's enormous.
Oh, okay.
It's just a field of giants. And they're in this tiny tub. You said cast iron tub. Clawfoot.
Yes.
Even. So, no. I'm going to go with no on this one because the feet of a claw foot would have already just stabbed through the floor before you ever made it through floor joists.
That's why I think that it broke through. The feet stabbed through, and when it did that, it just dropped, and all of the force of that dropping onto the floor busted through it. It's an old shack of a house built out of twigs.
I thought that this was almost like a castle. I thought this was built of rock and timber.
Don't know.
Because it's built enough to handle the force of them ejecting water from the tub while they're fucking in it.
The only way it could happen is a poorly built home. Not like a modern home, not like a castle.
No, here's the thing. A poorly built modern home, you could do some shit with. Getting a tub to go straight down, amazing. Also, for beams and things to have not cracked prior to just completely plummeting down. The only forewarning in this was there's drippage through the floorboards.
The warning should have been the loud noises to the point you can't have a conversation.
Well, which also should have been a point at which we fucking knock on the ceiling. We're like, hey, calm the fuck down or go out and do it in the forest with the other animals. Like, don't be bringing the tub downstairs. Also, we're left with the impression that there's indoor plumbing.
Yeah. I just wanted to quick say we didn't talk enough about how dirty it was having a sex scene in a tunnel with the mines, the coal mine tunnel that they made.
Well, she brings up at one point that he's finally clean good. She's like, you've been pretty gross. And I'm like, you've been slobbing on his nasty knob this whole time.
No.
Yeah.
No.
She was giving him a tongue bath half the time. And I'm like, motherfucker, what's happening? She's like, celestial dick cheese.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ryan, no.
Adri?
No. Don't do the thing.
He goes down on our earth.
No.
And I'm all for, like, listen, I'm no better than any other man, right? Sometimes it's the flavor you savor. You get after it. But then to be like, we're in a tub. So you're in ass soup water, both of you. You've rinsed off all the nastiness from your bodies floating around. Fucking in a hot tub is a bit of a dangerous situation for infection. What sort of crazy, like, this poor woman, I understand that she can be healed, but are we considering the bacteria and whatnot in that water?
No.
Then they go busting through the floor. I don't remember, did they stop fucking? Or was it more like,
they did.
Look away while they finished?
Well, I'm sure that Sam Kyle was like, shield your eyes, you motherfuckers. And Diana just sunk into the water in embarrassment.
You're right. She did. Because the embarrassing part is that you fell through the floor. Not that you guys were doing what you were doing up there. Clearly obnoxious enough that anyone in a neighboring town was like, please tell them to slow their roll.
I thought Miska was really funny because she's pouring everybody tea during this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Totally,
just pretending
as if it
happening.
doesn't, it's not happening. We just ignore that.
Yeah, we've emotionally damaged our adoptive child. So much that at this point, she's just catatonic to this whole situation happening. She is never going to be mentally okay. I was so excited for them to have adopted a child until I realized they spend 0 time parenting and every bit of their time fucking.
They have given their adoptive child to the grandfather.
Yeah.
Reggie's been taking care of her.
And to be fair, she's been taking care of Reggie because Reggie's been having his splitting headaches and things are not going well for Reggie.
That was the sad part about the scene with him and Death is that he thought he was losing his mind.
Yeah. What's interesting is that they're considered, not brothers, but familial almost because they're of similar nature.
Yeah.
No, after the hot tub scene, I stand by. If you're ever fucking so hard that the hot tub comes through the ceiling, your house was built poorly. You're not a rock star.
So in this next little batch of chapters, I didn't get to tie up these loose ends. It never came to be anything near the end. They disguise and go into this little community, and there are these nasty bugs in cages, and she meets this girl that flirts with her. Hard flirting. Like, I'm going to take you home.
It's a black market.
Yeah. And the bugs all get released by that girl. She ends up grabbing a sword and escaping. And while she's escaping, Diana and the elf are like, we got to go get him. And they lose communication with Sam Kyle and whoever else is involved
with
in
their
this.
bug walkie-talkies.
Exactly. And they run into whatever's similar to a fate, an oracle.
Yeah.
And the oracle is really getting under Diana's skin and telling all of her secrets. Well, not quite telling yet. She's telling the elf, ask her this, ask her about this, this, and this. And the elf is just like, what is going on? And finally, the oracle just spills the tea that she brought Sam Kyle back to life. And the elf is like, what the fuck? Diana's like, now I got to kill both of you. Diana's pissed. And she ends up punching the oracle so hard in the face that it crushes her skull.
Yeah, she runs her fist through the skull of what I would like to add is possibly the last remaining oracle.
I think it was, yes.
And what do we get out of this? Nobody says shit to Diana. Sam Kyle's like, what happened? She's like, she made me mad. I'm like, Diana, grow the fuck up.
The elf keeps her secret.
Well, yeah, because
he
he saw what the fuck happened to the Oracle.
And he was even like, do you want to talk about it? And I think she actually does a little bit, which is sweet, but at the same time.
And then Sam Kyle walks in the room and says, oh, what are you two talking about? And
Exactly.
the elf is caught between a rock and a hard place. Because he can't divulge her secret or she'll run a fist through his skull. And Sam Kyle wants to know what's going on because he's weird and jealous and thinks that she's just as horny for everybody else as she is him. But he can do nothing other than walk away. Diana says, now's the time. I'll tell him the secret.
Yes.
She's like,
that does happen. Can go,
no, please. Yours is going to be better.
yeah, I'll be nicer about it.
Yes, you will be.
She finally tells him that he died.
And he responds by leaving for 3 days.
I didn't know this. This is a part where we finished our hike and I just sat with it of she finally told him and started getting the dread of how much longer until we get the next part. Whatever happened to the girl, the thief girl?
I don't remember. She may be a part of the Eye.
That would make sense.
If I remember right. I
Okay.
kind of lost track of that one too. Because eventually what's going to happen here for Sam Kyle and Diana, for where they learn the cost of what Sam Kyle's whole situation is.
Which is her soul.
Right. But they learn this from, there's some beast that eats souls.
It's the bug. That's what it was. That bug got released and they eventually found it.
Yeah,
And-
it's like a scary, I can't remember what the name of the bug was, and it's like, it's going to eat your soul, and she's like, I'll kill it. She's put in a compromising position where this thing would have eaten her soul, and instead the bug looks at her in fear and says, void.
Yes.
And she breaks down crying. Sam Kyle murders the bug, and then he's like, why are you crying? You're safe. You're with me, baby. And she's like, I don't have a soul. He's like, what do you mean? And she's like, this is the third beast to have told me that I don't have a soul. That was my cost for bringing you back. And he's like, fuck. So he leaves for 3 days. They haven't seen or heard from each other. And Miska's like, oh, did you guys break up? And she's like, I don't fucking know. And she's like, oh, are you going to leave me too? Because Miska's a fucking little sweetheart who has abandonment issues. And this is a redeeming moment for Diana. Diana's like, why would I leave you? He's like, no. Sam Kyle and I are going to figure this shit out. Either whatever's going on, we still need to save the world. And no matter what, you're with me, homie. I got you. We're together. So that makes Miska feel good. It makes the elf guy feel good. Everybody's feeling good. Reggie's like, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it, Miska. Their conversations, they have many conversations, but they kind of don't mean anything to you other than Reggie's having these blank spots in his mind. His headaches are getting worse. The other guy that's a Billy Badass Otherworlder, he went to go recruit some people that he knows, which I think were the Eye people. I think that's why they showed up, but I'm not positive. Then
They eventually get married, so he must come back.
we don't know why Sam Kyle was gone initially. He was just gone for 3 days. Then he comes back. He's still not talking to Diana. It's the silent treatment. She's like, is this how it's going to be? He's like, you didn't consort with me on what was going on, blah, blah, blah. And he pouts a little bit. It's back and forth. Sam Kyle, we do get to know what he was doing because we get a Sam Kyle chapter or two. He goes and meets up with some old friends of his. They're hiding from Nizmira. The one lady is like one of the last remaining people who could do some sort of magic thing with rings or something. The husband is also important. They seem to run a brothel together. These people don't believe it's Sam Kyle, so when he's supposed to be taken to them, they decide they're going to fight him. He's like, I'm Sam Kyle, whips out a sword and defeats everybody. They're like, oh my God, it really is you, God King. He's like, oh yeah, it's me. So they go in and they're like, Sam Kyle, your power's running across the sky. We thought you were dead. And he's like, yeah, no, I was, but I'm not now. It's a long story. Don't worry about it. Evidently tells him the story or something. He leaves their place. End of Sam Kyle chapter. Sam Kyle comes back, sees Diana. Diana's like, where were you? Blah, 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 blah. He's like, don't worry about it, baby. And then he's like, oh, here, we're going to get married. We have to go see this person. She's the last remaining person. She's a wind elemental, so she's not particularly in danger of Nizmira's people, but they're generally kind of benevolent creatures. Don't worry about it. They're not going to be a problem. They're good things, right? Turns out this is some person who knows Sam Kyle and values him, whether they are ex-lovers or just acquaintances that were nice people. remains to be seen, because he takes her to this exquisite place, and she's like, what is this place? He's like, this is going to be New Riorson. We're going to remake it here. It's going to be beautiful. She's like, oh my God, it's so fucking gorgeous here. I love it. This wind nymph or whatever meets up with him, and she squeezes Sam Kyle. She's like, Sammy, I missed you, baby. And Diana's like, what the fuck? I'm going to burn her alive. And so the little wind fairy runs away, and she hides. And Diana's like, what? I thought you said that they were good creatures, blah, 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 blah. You didn't say that they wanted to suck on your knob. And he's like, it was not like that, baby. She's just trying to be nice. It's been a long time since I've seen her. She does the whole Sam Kyle thing where she gets insanely jealous. She's like, well, you let her know that if she touches you again, I'll burn her fucking world to the ground. Because it's fucking stupid, and that's how they interact. They do the ceremony. The lady who he went to go visit, she and her husband, she made these special rings which mimic the mark of Deshin. It allows them to speak telepathically through their head. The only thing they can't do is share power.
Wait a minute. Why weren't they able to do that by the time I got it back into this? They
so
talking
Diana,
to each other in the head?
They're not, because Diana's ring gets taken off, or she takes it off. I can't remember which way, when she decides she's going to go fight them.
Yep, because I heard about that. He's like, why'd you take the ring off? She's like, I had a plan. He's like, never do that ever again. And she's like, I'm sorry.
It was briefed on. She was not supposed to do it. She
had
fucked
a plan.
up the plan.
And it sounds like the plan didn't go right because she needed to be saved by Sam Kyle.
Correct. The plan never goes well for Diana. Diana in this book is needing to be saved a lot.
And that's probably intentional because Sam Kyle said that he wanted her to rely on him more.
Yeah, and I get it now that he's got his power back. And again, in fairness, Sam Kyle is so badass. They give you special attention to this because it's brought up several times that Xaden is insanely badass.
But we get to see why Sam Kyle was the chosen one, essentially.
He has Anir's power plus his own, is how it's worded. So they end up doing their big battle thing. A bunch of other nonsense happens that just does not matter. Like, there are things happening, but it's like between Camilla and Vincent, they end up fiddle fucking around. They make some love. They make a plan.
Yeah, they make some type of plan where her arms get chopped off and she goes into jail. And then he comes back and pulls out her hands, and then she does a spell and they have him back. He's like, please never do that again. She's like, it's just a simple spell, and then they escape.
It was never brought up prior to that was a game plan they had.
Oh, I know, because
it was a shocking thing to me. I was just like, God damn it, Vincent. You were under her control again? You motherfucker. You made me go to the point where I almost liked you.
Because I heard you listening to that. You're like, I think Vincent is going to turn on Camilla. And I'm like, oh, turns out I skipped ahead and I heard about her getting her hands back.
You knew way better than I did. I was just like, you got to be shitting me. We built this up so much.
And you were like somewhere, you had a long ways to go until you were going to get to where I was. You're like in the 70s or 80s. I'm like, oh, you still got a bit until you learned about her getting her hands back.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, I'm sure there were important plot points, but it moved so slowly I couldn't fixate on any of them. Cameron showed up at some point and was excited to see Sam Kyle. Were you there for that or no?
How did Sam Kyle feel about it?
Great. He was happy to see him. And Diana's like, oh, you would... This is one other little note. So at some point, she's like, you're not helpful to us because you're still very much part of Xaden's crew. You're still frothing at the mouth for some blood. You're young in this Igmorathan thing yet. She's like, you would blow him if he asked you to. And then Sam Kyle's like, oh, do we know that from experience? Fuck you, Diana.
Oh.
Yeah, and she's like, no, I was just saying. And she's like, actually, Xaden was never that way with me. It was always, hold on. She's like, it was always, what are they called? Consensual. She's like, at no point was I compelled to fuck him. It was always consensual. Even the parts where he wasn't nice, it wasn't him manipulating me into having sex with him. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. We got there. When Sam Kyle reflects on this is why he knows how to get under Xaden's skin so quickly. Is he's like, Xaden did love you the same way that I love you. And I'm like, wow, this is exactly what we called.
Yes,
in the last book.
You did. I was like, he doesn't. You're like, well, in his own fucked up way. And that's exactly what Sam Kyle comes to, because then I jump in at chapter 95 with Diana's POV. She's fighting Isaiah and Xaden. They can heal too quickly compared to her, and Isaiah captures her by her blood. And they have a weapon to replace her feelings for Sam Kyle for Xaden. That was wild to learn. And she freed herself because she's going insane over the idea of losing Sam Kyle. And the thing from her dream says, finally. I'm assuming that's Anir. She's not stabbed by the dagger. Sam Kyle shows up. He's trying to find Diana, and he learns of the dagger. So he's not even there yet. But I think when he does show up to Diana, he's talking to Xaden, and he gets under his skin by talking about his and Diana's love. But yeah, so Diana passes out, and I find out in this moment that they're married. Sam Kyle created a portal and saved Diana, and now everyone knows he's alive because he pulled the power out of the sky and shows up to fight Xaden.
So where Sam Kyle gets his power back came from, I can't remember who he was talking to.
I thought
he
it was
talked to
Reggie,
somebody.
who was just like, dude, it's yours. You can take it whenever you please.
No, I don't remember who it was. There was somebody else. I could have sworn. Maybe it was Reggie, where they're like, Oblivion was not a sword that you forged. You are Oblivion. That power isn't some thing that you had. That is you. All you need to do is reclaim it. It's yours. And so it did make for a sweet fight scene, to be fair. Like, I loved that it was quick and dirty with Xaden too, where he was just, boom, blink of an eye.
Chopped his head off.
Fucking beheaded that dude in the blink of an eye. Just whoosh, gone. Now, Xaden, insanely powerful, but I also like that Xaden gave him his due. He's like, in that moment, I felt like I was looking at our father. Like, he is exactly what Dad wanted. He is the world ender. This is his power, and it overwhelmed Xaden. And Xaden actually had a moment, I believe, where he sort of addressed, like,
they were
motherfuckers
right.
could take on Nesmira.
Yeah.
They're fucking scary. And Isaiah, he doesn't kill, but manages to bind. And through this whole thing, I actually felt bad for Isaiah. Number one, he just watched his brother, the same way Diana felt about her sister, Gabby.
Yes.
He just watched his brother get beheaded by his other brother in a form that reminds him of his dad, who always made him feel like he didn't belong.
Yep.
On a mission to kill his sister, who he also values. Like, there's so much going on with Isaiah here that the next book needs to primarily be about Isaiah. If the next book, honestly, almost does not include Diana or Sam Kyle, that would be ideal for me. I don't need them in another book. They can just be there for fight scenes, and then the rest of the time, they can just put a little cliff note in there, be like, and Sam Kyle and Diana are off fucking somewhere. That's all I need. I do not need more of their nonsense. I got so many scenes with them in this book. The next two books could have 0 scenes, and it would still be fantasy romance.
Because even with Isaiah, from his perspective, Sam Kyle is the bad guy.
Yeah, he is their oppressor.
And he leaves him locked up at the end.
Sam Kyle and him have a conversation, though, which I think is so great that Sam Kyle actually addresses it. He's like, if you guys would have come to me, we could have been a family. I want you guys to be a part of my family. I could have given you love and a place to be home. And you can tell that nobody's buying it.
I was going to say, I don't think he bought it.
But I think, how could you not? Because the one thing Sam Kyle is honest when it comes to that. And the woman that he went ahead and picked is a goddamn Igmorthan. I don't believe ever found out what was going on with the vials of blood.
But does it really matter if we figure out what's going on with the blood? She's using it to make monsters. That's what I'm getting from it. She's just a little Einstein who is making her monster. No, not Einstein.
I don't think you know what Einstein did. E equals MC monster. E equals MC hammer.
Frankenstein.
Yes,
yeah.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Exactly. That's what she's doing. That's all that's going on with the blood.
I was thinking Jekyll and Hyde for a minute.
Is that a doctor that
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
Remember he concocted this thing and he drank it and he was like, I'm going to be a badass now or something. I actually do not remember that story at all. He drank some juice that he made and then he developed a split personality.
How hilarious if that's what happens in the next book with Nizmira. She makes something, she thinks that it's going to work, she takes it, and then she becomes a split personality, and that's the whole dilemma of the
It's
next
unicorn
book.
juice, and it gets you there. On this note of something, nope, it's completely unrelated note, ignore me.
But we don't have that much left of the book. We did talk a little bit about Isaiah and his blood magic skill. And we talked about his fight with Diana. He has her locked in place. She's passing out. Sam Kyle shows up through a
Swoops
portal.
in, murders everybody, has a great.
Exactly. We got through most of that. I just absolutely love the ability to hold somebody in place with their blood, and even I like that that this was explored.
Oh, yeah, in the way that it was done.
Yep.
Like he's Magneto with blood.
Oh, yeah, that's a great example. Now we're down to the last little bit, chapters 98 through 100. No, we're farther.
100 and what?
No, I think I started way too far back.
It's hard to tell because we jumped around a lot.
We did jump around a lot.
Yeah, fuck it.
Because we talked about
Dive in wherever you like.
Vincent, and we talked about Camilla and how she got her hands back. There's Nizmira at some point, she's interrogating someone who made a weapon for Sam Kyle. And she's like, but who did you make it for? And she thinks it's for Reggie. And he's like making fun of like, you're
This
not
is
that
the
dumb.
couple. No, this is the couple who made the wedding bands.
Okay. But anyway, so
Yeah.
they're being interrogated, and Nizmira figures it out. And she's like, my brother. Chapters
I don't
101.
think that is not at all how that happened. My brother.
It did in my mind.
Do you have any oats?
Chapters 100 to 103. Isaiah is now captive. Yeah, Isaiah is now captive of...
He is now a captive.
Yeah, there we go. And Sam Kyle gave him like the 1,000 small cuts type of torture. Death by 1,000 cuts, but he can't die.
Yeah, that's a bad way to go.
Has
he
him
controls
locked up.
blood. Is he still bleeding?
There was a reason. Oh, I don't think he can do it for himself.
Oh, no, they put the power restraining cuffs on him.
That's what it is. Yep. So he's locked
Dick
up.
move.
And he locks him up and he's like, I'm going to go bang my wife.
I hope your ears aren't working because everybody's been complaining. And if you're not nice, we'll get in a tub and a floor just above this one and we'll see you in 5 minutes.
No. But this would be Isaiah's villain arc. The villain that he already is to whatever. I don't know. He kind
This
of
is
is.
sort of Sam Kyle's villain arc.
It is.
To be
He's like,
fair.
I'm going to make you listen to me bang my wife.
Well, I would say it started when he fell in love with a woman who was a bad influence.
Okay, fair. Diana's POV, they bang one out, not as aggressive as we've seen in the past.
Well, they're
More
tired.
love making. She confesses her love. Reggie's POV,
Can I confess something to you?
sure?
I skipped this scene.
Oh, the sex scene? Yeah.
So
But-
it's a bummer. This was one with passion.
But tell me about the Reggie POV. That's what was next between him and Death.
Reggie and Death. It was the coolest, most amazing thing. So Death shows up and time kind of stops around him, is my impression of this, right? It's like they're in a different world, but they're kind of not. And they both have tea, which later becomes important.
That's how the little girl knows something just happened. She's like, why is your tea literally ice?
Yeah, your tea is frozen, and why are there 2 cups, I believe?
Yes.
Is also what she says. She's like, the fuck, man? And he's like, I don't know.
I'm losing my mind.
Oh, that's the saddest thing. Because he is kind of losing his mind. Like, he knows, how do I put it? He is losing his mind in the sense of he does not have recollection of what's been going on.
And he's getting gaps in his memory, all these things. The whole thing with this conversation, though, seemed to be Death feels like Sam Kyle cheated Death.
No, Diana cheated Death out of Sam Kyle.
Yeah, there we go.
Which is, Death is pissed. Death is like, nobody gets to do this to me. And Reggie's like, fuck you, she's mine. Like, she's fine. I've seen how they die. And it's not you, buddy. And Death is like, we'll fucking see about that.
Yeah.
He's like, we've been around forever. We're old friends.
And Death wants to intervene in the future. It says her soul is in Sam Kyle.
Yeah. But what I don't understand is, if he already got Sam Kyle's soul, then he really wasn't cheated out of anything. He still got a soul.
I don't know if he has Sam Kyle's soul.
Sam Kyle's got
I
2
don't-
souls? He's got twice the soul?
Here we are
Is he
again,
the soul train?
where I don't understand souls and how they work, clearly.
Perhaps Sam Kyle's a part of the Ohio Players.
What? I don't understand this reference.
Never mind. So they were a funk band, but they had a lot of soul.
Oh my God. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Way over my head.
It doesn't matter. Do yourself a favor and go to Spotify. Ohio Players. Any of their songs will work. But
well, we're to the very... Oh.
No, you let me finish this. This is the best chapter of the goddamn book. I am not going to not talk about this chapter. This chapter was so fucking cool because of the way they communicated. They were equals, but they were also aggressive politely to one another. Reggie is a regal motherfucker, and it oozed from him. And Death was cool as shit, and just like, hey man, I gotta tell you, they're not ready for what I got for them. I'm like, oh really? He's like, in the most interesting point, which I know is going to come into the next book, whose soul does he have that Diana delivered to him?
No, he has Xaden's.
He has Tobias.
Yes.
He brings that up specifically. He said, well, I've got Tobias's soul.
And why is that important? Because he's going to bring him back to life to go after them?
He's going to let Tobias come back, and I'm sure if Tobias comes back, or Tobias is currently in use, then he can necromancer the fucking dead, Sam Kyle's papa. What's his name again? Unir.
Yeah.
Unir. And I think that's a cold line.
It was easily the best chapter in the entire book.
Dude, this is the best chapter of any book we've ever read. This is high praise, because I really did not enjoy most. It was high praise. I did not enjoy most of this book, but I really loved this chapter.
I knew you would. I told you to make sure that you read that chapter. And at one point, Sam Kyle is called a loving corpse. Death wiped the memory of Reggie, and Miska pops in to check on him, and Cameron is with them learning how to deal with his powers. So Cameron is now a part of this group. I didn't know that because I skipped some chapters. So that's how I learned about Cameron. I forgot to touch
on that earlier. Yeah, Cameron showed up, and Diana's like, motherfucker, you don't know what you're doing yet with your powers. We did kind of touch on
we did talk about it.
Yeah.
Then we go to Caden's POV. It's after Death. And there's a wrinkled woman that brought him back to life, and he's going to go save Isaiah.
Who's the wrinkled woman?
I don't know.
Well, I assume it's Death, just in a, skin costume.
Oh.
Don't you think?
I didn't know what to think.
Oh, well, they seemed like they were intimately familiar with who Xaden was and also what he was going through in Resurrection. And they were just like, oh, okay, well, you're here now. Good job, honey. Good luck. Carry on.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's just going to be like a dead corpse moving around. I think we're going to have to read this up. We're going to read the next book.
Because they brought up his flesh and how it wasn't completely healed yet. And then he looked different than he was expecting.
Yeah, he had his head chopped off.
Well, I'm pointing out, no, he said that he was looking at his hands and stuff and it looked different than what he expected it to. I don't think he's seen his reflection yet.
But we're going to have to read the next book. Maybe not like multiple episodes on it, but a single episode of us just reading through the book.
Fair. We're going to miss a lot of nuance because these are long-winded books and they're hard to get shit out of.
I just got to assign it to you for 1 week. It's all on you.
Okay, fair enough.
Then we have Xavier's POV, still mentally captured. He misses Cameron. What? Oh yeah, because we're inside his head. He saw Sam Kyle come back. Cryella rescued him, and she is with the eye. And this is a scene where I felt like they were a bit of the Avengers.
And Cryella is the lady.
That was the woman from forever ago with the monster that released it and stole the golden sword.
No. Cryella is the witch queen or whatever. Sam Kyle was like, Camilla, you're like a family member of this Cryella. You know magic so
that's
intimate.
Right. Okay. And the book ends with Diana's POV. The beast side of her is alerting her to danger, and she feels pulled to Sam Kyle's study, and Unir has been following her.
Yeah, but again, he's also the eyes that she's been seeing.
Oh, yeah.
Visions, orange eyes, or yellow. I can't remember. It's the color that isn't theirs in the Celestials. It's a third color of eye.
It probably would have been solved with some communication with Sam Kyle, like, hey, I've been seeing these eyes. Wow, those sound like my father's eyes.
No, I don't believe his dad had those eyes in life.
Oh,
he's a separate entity now. And remember, Unir was dead when she was communicating with Gabby.
Yes.
So there's something to that.
It sounds like there's a whole other dimension that they're going to be interacting with in the next book.
I think that's totally possible. I think the other side of this is that Death managed to bring back the necromancer Tobias, who has sense, or maybe they've just absorbed their power or something. And Death is like, fuck it, you can bring back Anir. I'll let his soul kind of, little bits of it trickle in there and you can mind control him. At this point, all of these powerful beings that she's murdered, if Death wants her gone, doesn't really matter if those people are gone.
Fair.
The only one that can rob Death, and this is why Death has a vendetta against Sam Kyle, is Oblivion removes them from the grasp of Death.
Oh, fascinating. I didn't connect those dots.
It actually was said in a chapter that you skipped, I think. I'm just here to help.
Overall, I wanted to rate this much higher, closer to our last two, because I think we gave them both about 4 stars, 3.75 on that. Not a 5-star. I don't know. I really enjoyed them, and I wanted to put this here, but it was also only because I skipped so many chapters that I felt like I could give it that, because my book experience was so much better by skipping chapters.
Sure.
But because I skipped them, I think it needs to technically be lower.
So I didn't skip any chapters. I thought the last book was like a 4.5 or something. The second, I think the last book was probably my favorite book that we've ever read for this. This book was so insanely disappointing to me, not because it isn't well written, and I want to point that out. I'm not going to give this like 1 star, even though a part of me is like, fuck you, 1 star, because you made me sit through all of this nonsense and it never went anywhere. Because it's so well written. It is a well written story. The characters are so well developed for the most part. There's a lot going on, just none of it fucking matters. And so to me, this is a 2-star book. 2.25, because it is not better. I did not enjoy this more than I enjoy the average book that I've read. I enjoyed this less than the average, and if I could decide to read this or not read this, I would have just not read this. I feel like my time would have been better spent elsewhere, almost anywhere else.
I think we put 2.75 on Fable, so I bumped your rating up a little bit, and I knew that I should be lowering mine.
Because your inclination was 4 stars, right?
Yeah, 3.75, 4 stars, because I got introduced to all the characters, I got to hear their conflicts, and then I got the resolution.
There's a lot of really great points in this book. There's a lot of cool ideas. I just dislike that they weren't a bigger part of the book.
Mm-hmm.
It was like all of these neat concepts and ideas were sort of footnotes for the romance. Also, I need to examine the fact that I am not the target audience for this book.
No, you're not.
I was the target audience for the first one, more so. The second book, I think, was really more of a me-style book. Like, okay, there were sex scenes and stuff, and that's fine. It's not for me, but I'm here for the rest of the book. But the plot was good. It explored cool ideas, and it was thorough. I like a long-winded story. I just can't handle one where there's so much being said and nothing's happening.
It's a long-winded romance story.
Yeah, but even then, it wasn't like there was a lot of variety of the romance. It was sort of like shoehorned in. Every time those two had a moment alone, they were just fucking. There wasn't like, oh, he drew small circles on my back while he rubbed it to calm me down. There was no romance. There was sex in this book.
You're right. Yes.
And therefore, like I said, I'm not going to argue the fact that I may not be the target audience. This is a well-written book. If you are the target audience, this could be a 5 out of 5 for you.
And I think it's you love it or you hate it. What I've gotten from following reviews on this series.
Man, hate seems like a strong word for what I feel, but I far more dislike than am ambivalent to this. At 2.5, I would be ambivalent.
But you should have skipped ahead with me. You did this to yourself a little bit, and it caused a little more hostility than was necessary. But you're like, I started this book, and I'm going to finish it.
I have commitment issues, and that is the idea that I overcommit. I will not walk away from something that I start. And I needed it to be done the way it was intended. I needed to absorb all of that they gave me to offer, or all that they offered to give me. And it just wasn't there for me.
Do you feel like if you DNF a book, you shouldn't be rating it?
Yes.
Okay, I wonder that there are some people that feel that way, others who feel like if I DNF'd the book, then my rating is still fair. in the same way that I was thinking about how I want to give you 3.75, but because I skip chapters, I know logically I need to lower it. And I think it's the same mentality of I didn't finish your book, and therefore my 1 to 2 star rating is fair, because maybe you could have been a 3 or 4 star, but because I couldn't bring myself to finish, you got knocked down some stars.
So my logic with this is, if I go to a restaurant, I wait 2 hours for food, and I leave before I get my food, I could not tell you how good the food is at that restaurant. I could tell you that for whatever reason the service sucked, or I could tell you that the atmosphere wasn't what I liked. I could not judge the food.
But your
because
rating...
I didn't partake the food. In the book itself, if I could say, oh, it's 2 stars up to the first 40% of the book, then I think that would be fair. But when we give books a rating, we are saying this book as a whole means this to me. And unless you've experienced that book, you really have no business doing that, is my opinion. Now, granted, I respect that everybody's got their own lane.
I've noticed that some people view rating, and that is, I know everyone has like a 5-star means this, a 4-star means this, right? Everyone has those ones, and it's a little different in variety. But the biggest, I think, separation was
church and state. Got it.
No.
Should have been.
DNFing a book. Should you be rating it? But at the same time, if you have X% of people DNFing your book and not rating it, and only the people that are finishing the book are rating it, I don't think that's fair also. I think some people should be aware, because if I'm in the rating, in the review section, and I'm seeing 1 in 5, 1 in 5, 1 in 5, or even 1 to 2, 4.5 to 5, like this series is getting, that's telling me you love it or you hate it. It's your thing or it's not.
So I would say that the problem comes from the arbitrary system of needing to give it stars as opposed to option number 2, DNF. And that's it. You don't need to include anything beyond did not finish. You can include maybe a reason for where you left off, and maybe even DNF this chapter. That's how far you've made it in. Because there are plenty of books that if I had quit reading, I would have missed out on an amazing book. Not maybe the greatest book ever, but the first book in this series. If you would have quit at chapter 9,
yeah,
you would have missed out on all of the awesome shit that happens in the first book and the second book. The only saving grace would have been you'd have missed out on this fucking book.
Okay.
And I would say 4 could be better.
And we're not on Goodreads. I don't like the app or the website. So on Fable, you're able to mark a book as DNF, and it puts it into a list of DNF stuff, but it doesn't
give you a rating.
Yeah, it's not like you do a rating and you mark DNF in 1 star. Like you're your own little category.
I think that's better, because I do not think that if somebody DNF'd the book, I don't really care whether they gave it 1 or 5 stars. That'd be like starting a book and giving it 5 stars because the first 5 chapters were great. And then 6 chapters in, everybody was a racist. You didn't know. Like, what the fuck? Your 5-star rating then didn't mean much to me.
Well, even in your restaurant thing, if your experience of just trying to get seated is so bad that you had to leave, I would give that restaurant 1 star.
And you can give the restaurant 1 star.
I didn't eat the food.
Correct. But remember, in the example that I gave, editor, pull this back up.
No.
I could not give a rating for the food.
But that's not how ratings work.
But it can be. For the sake of the restaurant, you're correct. Google does not give me specifics. I'm like, oh, what do you think of the tartare at... I don't know. I tried to think of a fancy food, and I can't think of anything else that would be fancy. But with a book, you truly are in charge of the ambiance. You are in charge of so much. If you did not complete the experience, you do not get to give it a certain amount of stars.
And that's where I have felt a little guilty that this book is difficult in the environment of me working and multitasking. Sure. And that is not fair to the book, because I can't imagine she's just like, I wrote this for all the girls that are at work.
I think she did. I think she wrote this for the girls that were not really able to listen to what's going on during the book at any given point.
Oh my God, no, you're just being mean.
No, I'm not. I'm being completely serious. It would make sense if it was written from the perspective of, I'm going to rehash this same thing 75 times in the slowest way possible and really hold your hand when I talk about all of this shit over and over and over again. That would make sense to me. Nothing of substance occurred quickly, That's a lie. The one thing that did occur quickly of substance was Lady Steel and the sword.
That did happen fast.
Yeah, that was it. I showed up. How many times did we get to hear about them in anything specific? Never. How often were we told that they exist? 15,000 times. Sam Kyle's not the oh, I don't know. Sam Kyle's not the prisoner. They think Sam Kyle's dead. They think Sam Kyle's dead. Everybody thinks Sam Kyle's dead, except 2 fucking people in the whole book. And we kept hearing that from them. Like, yeah, okay, we could just have the understanding that they think Sam Kyle's dead. Or there could have been a board meeting. At one of these big meetings where all the bad guys are sort of together, why not just be like, well, Sam Kyle's light's still in the sky. He's obviously dead. Then we don't have to fucking mention it again, guys. Does not have to come up. We didn't hear about one plan actually happening. They Ocean 11 their way through shit. It was the most basic not plan of plans, and shit just kind of happened. Not because they were pressed for time, but because they just didn't want to give it to us, which is fine. Amber v. Nicole, I am so sorry that I'm beating you up on this one, but it really comes from a place of how much I loved your other 2 books and me just not being the right person for this book.
I enjoy listening to you rant. I think this is a form of therapy for you in some way.
It's such a terrible book.
of getting through your feelings of this book because you've been holding on to them, waiting for us to get through our episode.
Oh, because I want to start another book.
Oh, yes. So what's up next is we're going to do a bonus episode because The Night and the Moth doesn't come out for another week. You were in charge of reading Legends and Lats. Nope.
Lattes.
Legends and Lattes. There we go.
Brother. Which I thought was going to be a sweet coffee shop book. It starts off that way. I already started this book, little spoiler alert, because I wanted to cleanse my palate of this nonsense. And as I was getting excited telling Adri how incredible this book is so far to just be in a different world, there's different things going on. She's like, oh, so you haven't got to the romance parts yet. I'm like 15 chapters into this book, I think, and there is no sense that there is going to be romance.
I didn't warn you.
You did. It's just too late. I'm invested now, and I want to know what's happening. I'm excited to talk to you about this book, even just the first few chapters. I have so many thoughts.
And I'm in charge of reading one of Grandma's books. I don't know which one yet. There's one about a pregnancy. There's one about a man, I think, adopting twin boys.
Is there another Amish book?
It's at Grandma's house. We have to go visit her to get the other one.
I love that we're going to go visit her just to grab that book.
I know, but she loves it. She's asked how many we've read, so we have to get through some more of these. There's like a canine one that's like a police
dog love.
Dog. I don't think it's a dog romance.
Is this a furry book?
No, I don't think so.
No bestiality.
And
you didn't say no. That was shocking. Wait. She just moved on.
Oh, I don't know what your grandma's been reading.
Wow.
And you officially have decided to call our bonus mini-series. I think a mini-series is more when we want a little breather between our book club episodes.
I'll give you a breather between.
Shut up. Grandma's Smut Corner.
Yeah.
Is going to be the name of the mini-series.
Fuck you reading me, Ma. No,
you're in charge of reading the smut. I'm in charge of reading Grandma's books.
Same. Mine's got lattes. Yours will have lattes. Yours are Hallmark books. It's fucking nonsense. I've really enjoyed this series.
Oh, you're backpedaling.
I just want to end this on this note. I've really, truly enjoyed this series. If you enjoyed the first 2 books, and you fought your way in through the 3rd one as much as you could and you just couldn't finish it, come listen to our episode on the 4th book when it happens. I'll tell you if it's worth picking up or not. You can trust me because the 3rd book is nonsense. If you're reading it currently, don't finish it. Skip to chapter. Where'd you skip to?
I jumped to 95.
Go to 92. Chapter 92 through the end of the book. Read the first third, pick 10 random chapters in the middle, and skip to the end. That's all you need.
I love you.
I love you.
You're my bestie.
You're my bestie. Open your legs and close your books. It's over.
No.
Thank you guys for supporting us. It's been a good time. If you'd like more,
follow us here, TikTok or Instagram. Fable, if you want to join our book club. Patreon, if you want episodes early.
Dropping on Tuesdays if you're into that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. Episodes are releasing on Tuesdays. If there's a two-parter, it's going to be on Thursdays.
We accept 5-star reviews and nothing less. If you leave something less, you're a motherfucker.
No!
Oh.
Honest reviews.
Not that honest. Only leave a review if you're willing to be a 5-star honest person. Should we come up with something mean to say to him on the way out? I kind of want to pick on him.
No, I would say love you. Bye.
Oh, you can tell him that you love him.
Okay.
I won't.
Love you guys before Ryan bullies you out of here.
I'm fine with most of you. I love you, bye. The Worst Smutty Podcast. The books, you're right. They may or may not be smutty. We read 3 Little Pigs. And one of them gets fucked. Get ready. It's not the one you think. Which one do you think is the sluttiest pig?
None of them.
I think it's the one in the brick house.
Oh, I was thinking the one with the hay.
I thought you would, and that's how I knew it. Because the twigs aren't sexy enough, the hay one's like, oh, please don't blow my house over. Yeah, no. That's sad that you would think that. It's the one in the brick house, because it's the one you wouldn't think.
This is the one that's getting paid and has money for bricks.
Whoa. First of all, it's a slutty pig, not a whore pig. This pig does it for the love of the game.